I am one of Dr. Bhatti's patients, and as you can see, you don't get the before, but you get the after. My hair looks very good. It's wavy, very presentable, and I'm very happy with the results. And I would suggest him as a person to be selected to give you an excellent hair transplant. I have a long history of hair transplantation, many procedures and bad experiences because I didn't do my homework, and I was very vulnerable, as most transplant patients are, because you are depressed by the fact that number one, your hair looks bad, and then secondly, you know it's not going to get better. It's not even going to stay the same, but it's going to get worse. And so you're vulnerable to people who will prey on you, to use you in order to make money, and knowing that they are not going to give you anything near what you desire. But this is an exception to the rule. Dr. Bhatti. Quite a ways back, as far as hair loss is concerned. As far as I can tell, I began to lose my hair right at puberty. I used to play golf on the golf team, and I noticed when I was about 14 years old that though my hair covered my eyes, when I looked down to hit the ball, it began not to cover my eyes. The thing about losing your hair to a man is that people who care about having a head of hair is that it not only begins to look bad, but you realize it's not only looking bad, but it's going to continue to look bad, and it will begin to look even worse. Secondly, there's the vulnerability factor to people who might prey on their condition. In the early 80s, I looked into the hair transplant possibility. I remember going to a doctor who actually, as they say in America, CYA, cover your ass. He actually showed me photos of his patients, all of which looked terrible. Despite the fact that all these pictures looked terrible, I thought, for no reason at all, that my case was going to be different. So I opted to have a hair transplant from this physician. And thirdly, a word about most doctors. This is what I've discovered for the most part. They never tell you the truth. And the truth is that you will not only need one procedure, because hair loss is progressive. If I thought through these things, I would see that, but I didn't think through these things. You will not only need one procedure because hair loss is progressive, but you will need many procedures. Secondly, they know about your vulnerability to be preyed on, and instead of considering that, they take full advantage of that in order to prey upon you. And these bad doctors have done enough procedures that they cannot but know that not only are they not going to solve the patient's problem, they cannot but know this. Not only are they not going to solve the patient's problem, but they are actually going to produce permanent disfigurement in the patient. And they not only go forward with the procedure, they convince you that you need permanent disfigurement, amazingly enough. We were discussing yesterday, I was discussing with Dr. Bhatti, that the worst thing about a bad transplant is that it is permanent, and the best thing about a good transplant is it is permanent. And so, thirdly, here you see my permanent hairline. When I would be talking to someone frequently, they would begin looking at my hairline because it was so noticeable. And one person in China, since I live in China, commented that he thought my hair looked like a Barbie doll. So it was extremely noticeable. But look at my hairline now after Dr. Bhatti's procedure, and nobody stares at my hairline anymore because it looks natural. Fifthly, another thing about having thinning hair is that the longer you grow it, the worse it looks. You probably noticed that. The more your hair loss is apparent. And so most people who begin losing their hair inevitably cut their hair short. My hair is curly, and so it looks better if I grow it longer, because if it's short, the waviness of the hair is not apparent. But look how it is now. It's grown out long, and you can see the curl in it. Finally, getting a hair, this is extremely important too. Finally, getting a hair transplant in America is astronomically expensive. I don't know what the average is, but you can pay as much as $30,000 US for a hair transplant. And remember, it's not going to be solved, if it is at all, in one procedure. How many people can pay multiple $30,000 increments to have their... So in conclusion, Dr. Bhatti, as you can see, does excellent work, produces an amazing hairline, and he is extremely affordable. And gets my full recommendation.